The thing that I'm looking at the last 5 games that Michigan has, and there's 3 very big games there, but with Indiana not being what we thought they would be, I mean, I'm not sure it gets any better with having the teams that they have to play, because you got to play Michigan State, right? That's a tough one. But
Yeah,
you think about it, number one, today's game, like this wasn't an overly physical game for
yeah.
Michigan where they had to fight it out, scrap it out. I mean, Donovan Edwards got a lot of touches, got some touches. So you've got today, then you've got Michigan State next week, then you have Indiana before you play Penn State, and then you get Maryland before you play Ohio State. And I'm not looking past Maryland, but nonetheless, like as far as what I mean, like you don't have any of those tough teams back to back weeks. Like you get a what I would consider a lesser team in between those big games. So I mean, it's that's about as good as you're gonna get with it, because I think Ohio State gets, I want to say, or no, I think Penn State gets Michigan State November 13th, and then, or no. So Michigan plays Penn State on November 13th, and I think they play Michigan State the week after that, so on the 20th. So, it's there's a lot of teams that have, it's not ideal, but as far as those last 5 games, like that's about as well as you can stack those games
But
is
you know what?
with Indiana.
But you know what? At this point in the season, once you get to game 7, 8, 9, you kind of are who you are, and that's how we're really going to find out who this Michigan team is. I saw someone put a comment, that how we need to understand that this is a rushing football team. Well, okay, fine. No, no, you're missing the point. We're not saying that there's something wrong with our rushing attack being our number one threat. It's about the diversity of when that doesn't work as well. Okay, no, we're not going. Most likely, MSU, Penn State, Ohio State, they're not going to limit us, under 100 yards rushing. Okay, that's very difficult to do. We're not saying that. But I think Joe Klatt said it really, I like this analogy that he used during the game today, is that, Michigan's rushing attack is like a fastball pitcher, a pitcher's fastball, right? But what happens when a team takes our fastball away?
Hmm.
What
Yep.
what do we do?
Yeah.
That is a legitimate quick question,
Agreed.
and you can't fantasize or work your way around it. That is legitimate, and that is something that at some point we'll find out if they can do. It's very, very difficult, even when you're strong at doing something, to do it week in and week out and week in and week out, and not and have it at the exact same level and effectiveness,
Hmm.
right? I'm sorry. It just is what it is. No one is saying that we're going to be a team that's going to pass it 40 times every week. We were saying 40 times we were playing weaker opponents where we knew we were going to win those games regardless, right? So we were trying to, that's the time where you experiment and do things outside of your norm a little bit, right? Just in case at this point in the season, it might be needed. Maybe not, but it could be. But at least if it does come up and you do need to throw a change up or a curveball, that you can do it.
Hmm.
And now,
Yep.
ask you guys out there, do you know if Michigan, if need be, can win the game with a pass for the passing attack?
That's an interesting question. And I will answer that and get to that. But watch me pop just put Penn State versus Illinois is in 6 overtime. And that
Incredible.
is true. It is they're starting on their 6 overtime right now. It's 16-16. Very interesting too. Penn State plays Ohio State next week. So you've got a 6 overtime game that you're playing today, and then you're going into to play Ohio State
Trap,
next week.
trap,
So
trap, 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 gang. Trap, 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 gang.
Hey, I mean, look, let's look on the bright side. For Michigan, your trap game finished 33-7. Penn State's trap game is in 6 overtimes,
Clifford
16 to
returned today. I
16,
saw that. I saw that Clifford played
two
today.
for five.
Clifford
Well,
returned today too.
seems like it doesn't matter because you only
Right,
have
right,
16
right.
points in here.
You're right about that.
Oh, ooh, we've got an interesting. So, can Michigan win a game passing the ball? I I think they can, but the tough part
Des,
is
hold up.
I'm rolling the dice
Des,
on Josh Gaddis.
hold up. Before you finish, let me make that very, very clear so people understand. Don't say, oh, we passed the ball against Nebraska. We passed against Wisconsin. Let me be very clear. When I say win a game passing the ball, think about scenarios in which it's easier to pass the ball when you want to, like you're winning
Hmm.
20-7, and
You're ahead of the sticks. It's
you're
like,
ahead of
oh,
stakes.
it's 2nd and 1.
Right.
Let's throw it. Just
Let's
be,
let's do this play
because we
once.
can.
Right.
Right.
The heck with it. Let's do a flea flicker. The heck with it. Compared
Hmm.
to what if you're down 14-3,
Right.
right? And you're down 14-3, or a better case, you're down 21-10 for a quarter, or 24-10 for a quarter, 11 minutes left. Yeah, you're not gonna run the football a lot, right? Because you want to be careful of draining too much time. You want to get a little bit more chunk plays, right?
Yeah.
Can you do that? Right?
I
Those are
yeah.
scenarios, right? See that's where it gets tricky.
Yep.
That's what I mean by winning the game passing. When you actually you have to pass the ball. That's what I mean. But go ahead. Now you answer the question.
Um, so I know the ability is there for the personnel that you have. I'm rolling the dice on Josh Gaddis having a good day, and it's just all over the place. Like I don't, I'm not gonna lay. I mean, I've got, I wouldn't put $10 on, Josh Gaddis having a good day in a big game. I'm just not gonna. I just from what he's shown me, I'm not sure I can. I would be willing to bet on that. So I really can't say. I No, I can't say that. Interesting question here. Well, interesting statement by D Brown says Michigan is the most complete team in the Big Ten, and Corey posed a good question too that we'll get to next. But do you agree with this statement, Dre, or do you disagree with this statement?
No, I don't agree. I mean, how can we say that when we're able to identify glaring red flags, right? Like I now, no, I can't go there because complete, I think actually is it flies right in the face of what I've been saying about this team, which is that they're not, especially on offense, not extremely diverse. And just when I say diverse, I don't mean you're going to be great at everything. I'm not expecting us to have a great passing game and a great rushing game, but it's to be able to, one has to complement the other, and they should both at least be respectable. And I don't think opponents respect Michigan's passing attack. I don't think they fear Michigan's passing attack. You know,
Do we know how good
they're
Michigan's
really good,
defensive backs are?
huh?
Do we know how good Michigan's defensive backs are?
Not quite, but I do know that they are better. They are better than they were last year.
Okay,
You know,
I would agree with that.
and which is
But
a big improvement. Big
yeah,
improvement.
agreed. Okay, so Corey posted a question: True or false? Our defense will keep us in every game.
True. True.
I would agree with that as well. I think that is true.
Absolutely. And
I think, and that kind of goes directly with the question I just asked: is how good are the defensive backs? We think that they're pretty good, but we don't really know because there's not been a team that's really challenged them, as far as the defensive backs. Like every team, Michigan's played has been outside of Western Michigan, I think, has been at least a balanced offense or a run heavy, offense. So
oh,
that'll be interesting.
okay. Now I see what D Brown was saying. They weren't saying that Michigan is a complete team. I think he was saying more of a complete team in the Big Ten than anybody. Okay, now let me readdress that question.
No, he said Michigan is the most complete team in the Big Ten. That's what he said.
Compared to Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan State. I don't know, man. No, I still can't say they're more complete than Ohio State because even though Ohio State has had issues on defense, particularly with the stopping the rushing attack,
Hmm.
um, I still think offensively they're definitely complete. They don't have a weakness offensively. Um, They may be the most talented offensive team in the country.
Ohio
Um,
State.
yes,
I
offensive.
think their quarterback is actually. I would look at him like a weak link. I would say.
Weak link in comparison to previous years. But I don't think he's a weak link in terms of his peers in the conference. I mean, I still think he's top three in the conference. CJ Stroud is
Yeah,
top three quarterback. Yeah, I'm
I would
just
agree
being
with
honest.
that.
Like, like I don't think I've been very consistent. What I've been telling you, Des, is that I don't think he has the moxie and composure of the JT Barrett's and the Justin Fields or Dwayne Haskins. He doesn't have quite those guys' moxie and composure, but he's definitely talented. He's a talented kid. He can make throws. I just don't think he has the composure that those guys do. But he's definitely good enough, especially with the weapons Ohio State has, to get the job done. Right? He's not going to hold them back in terms of executing. The problem is for them is if you can get Ohio State in a dogfight. Um, I've seen, especially against Oregon, even at Minnesota, I've seen CJ struggle with handling those bigger moments, right? So that's the key. But you have to get them, in that, and keep them in that dogfight. Keep yourself in striking range. And the interesting thing about when Michigan plays them would be, can Michigan score enough to keep the game close to get to that point in a fourth quarter, or maybe you can force CJ to make a mistake, right? But we'll get there when we get there. But no, I don't know. I still won't say Michigan's the most complete team. I think it's close, but I think that's a strong statement to say based on Michigan's own weaknesses.
You mentioned Stroud being a top three quarterback in the Big Ten. Who would you say right now? Who would be the best quarterback in the Big Ten right now?
Oh, really, no one's playing great, man.
I know.